So, hi everybody, welcome to the Lead Better Show. And today we have a very special guest, Jocelyn Greenkey. Thank you so much for being here, Jocelyn.
My pleasure.
Now, Jocelyn is a cross-generation expert, and the reason I brought her on today is because last week I spoke about gladioli, the flower, and they have as the buds, the young people at the top of the stem and the older people at the bottom. And I was thinking, well, that's opposite to how we do it in organizations, with the older people at the top typically and the younger people at the bottom. So I thought, well, that's a flower. Let's find out what really happens in the workplace. So Jocelyn, over to you. What are you seeing?
Between the generations is that perception is not reality. You have to really take a chance, provide a platform for people to expose themselves in a positive light and not assume the bad, but always assume the good, and then go the opposite way and get to know somebody, because there is a perception that young people are quick and have no patience and know everything and talk in a language that perhaps older people don't understand. For example, the word dope. My son talks about the word dope, and that's actually a very positive thing, not a negative thing. And it's really important that everybody at every level takes time, puts their phone down, and tries to understand what the other person has said. And the best tip I can say is to repeat what that person just said back to that person who provided the information, to make sure that you clearly understood.
Right, so there's no misunderstandings between each other.
That's right. Well, when there's instruction, and then when there's instruction, you really have to be very clear to make sure that you understand what the end goal is, and then the steps in between the first and the last, and what you're expected and when. So everybody is treated equally. Everybody has the same deadlines. Everybody has the same format to get to the end goal, regardless of age, regardless of background, culture, all of that. So that it's all the same. You're treated equally, but making sure that you clearly understand. And if there's an issue with you on trying to make a explanation about something and it's not getting through somebody else's head, I would definitely recommend that you make an analogy with something that they find very interesting. For example, if I was talking to somebody and knew that they liked running or sailing or a sport or anything like that, that you actually make an analogy to that sport, that interest, that special interest, and you will, voila, be able to get into that person's head very quickly.
Okay, so it's actually treating them as an individual person first, regardless of age. That's, I think, the key message there. So what happens, what's a couple of top tips? So, for example, if I'm a leader, a boss, and I have like a person older than me that is reporting to me, I guess I have to listen carefully, but any top tips for that?
Listen, they don't assume they can't hear. Don't assume that they react slowly. Assume that they actually just don't know, just like you would assume the same thing for somebody younger.
Okay.
So if you have somebody who's older, in your head, you have to make sure that you're talking to somebody who is at your level with respect. Yeah. Because the minute you get annoyed in your head and that comes out of your body language, you're going to lose trust. And once you've lost the trust, you're screwed, and you have to start all over. So rebuilding trust is a lot harder than sustaining the trust in the first place.
Okay. So that's like if someone's younger than me. What about if I'm a younger person having to deal with these older people that I do see as slow, and they're just like, hurry up?
Right. Oh, that's the worst. And believe me, I understand. People do it to me all the time. But you can't assume that, again, you can't assume anything. They can hear you. They can understand. Again, you cannot be short-tempered. You cannot be somebody who is not willing to put down the phone and be mindful and be present in the actual moment that you're spending together, because that's going to make all the time in the world. We all know what it's like to be with someone who's actually paying attention to us.
Yeah.
And you will cut down on all of the irrelevant information and information that's being told to the other person once you actually are with them. So it's called basic communication. Listen, repeat what you think you just heard, regardless of age or culture, and then move forward, because cultures are the ones who really have most issues rather than the generations are okay, because if it's an American generation, they'll get what you're saying eventually. But sometimes cultures have a really hard time with that.
Oh,
Different
okay.
cultures.
Well, that's a great note to finish on. Thank you so much. Listen, be respectful, and I guess if I'm feeling frustrated in my head, take a little walk and get myself together before I actually open my mouth, because people can pick it up. So thank you so much, and we'll speak to you next time.
Perfect.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.